All right, good afternoon. I'm here to talk to you about holiday pay, whether to pay it or not to pay it in the case of Saga Food Services. So on slide 2, the presentation begins discussing the situation with John Arnett at Saga Food Service. He's currently employed there as a driver. The company is currently closed for Labor Day holidays on Monday of each year. However, they have adjusted hybrid schedules of employees who work Tuesday through Friday for 10-hour days. So they are giving them Tuesday in lieu of the Monday holiday. John, in particular, is one of those drivers who works Tuesday through Friday, so he was given Tuesday, the day following Labor Day, off as his holiday pay, returning to work on Wednesday. However, John called in the day preceding Labor Day on that Tuesday, and as a result, is no longer eligible for holiday pay. The company has made that ruling. However, he and the union have filed a grievance to contest the holiday pay ruling. On slide 3, it continues with my role and perspective. I'm employed as the Director of Human Resources at Sage Food Services. Our company has a unionized workforce that is represented by the Teamsters Local 444 union. As the Director of Human Resources, it really is my responsibility to make sure that all company policies are equally enforced with all employees, to make sure that no matter whether you're a driver or office personnel, that you receive the same treatment around the same issues as long as you are covered by the company, and then again considering the union provisions. Human resource management really is a way to govern the working conditions and policies in the workplace. This type of management is defined by the employer having the ultimate deciding power in the relationship. Even though there's a union contract here with the Teamsters, really is up to the company itself to have the ultimate deciding power. On slide 4, we follow up with the main points of the case. So John Arnett was scheduled to normally work Tuesday through Friday for 10-hour shifts. We, the company, had elected to count Tuesday as his Labor Day because he normally does not work on Monday. So to be fair to the employees, we transferred the Labor Day holiday to a following day so that he would be compensated along with every other employee who works Monday through Friday. Article 7, Section 7.03 of the union contract states that to be eligible for holiday pay, an employee must work the immediate day before and after the holiday to receive his holiday pay. However, if the employee is ill or injured, his manager may override this policy. So the following questions we're going to have to answer, they're critical questions to this presentation. How was it to prepare for the grievance? How should the business respond to the union? Did John violate the holiday pay procedure? Was John sick or ill? Did John request time off in advance of the holiday? And did John speak with his supervisor about the need for a personal day? And last but not least, should John ultimately be paid for the holiday pay or not? On slide number 5, we start with how should we as a company and as an HR director prepare for the grievance? What's very important to remember the 5 W's when preparing for any grievance hearing. Who was involved? Was it management, employees? Is HR involved in the situation or witnesses? What exactly happened to cause the grievance? When did the incident happen? Where did the incident happen? Why did it happen? And why has this situation become a grievance in and of itself? On slide number 6, we start with how should the business respond? Was the Director of Human Resources, it's imperative that I respond in a fair, consistent manner. The employee files of others should be checked to see if there's any inconsistency with what we've done from a historical standpoint. Is there a company precedent of breaking this policy? Have we waived it in the past for employee situations similar to this? Or have we always enforced the policy consistently? Human resource management must function on consistent principles to avoid any potential liability and unfair treatment of our employees. It's also important that the grievance process to resolve the dispute that is handled in a very agreeable way. If the process is handled appropriately, the employee situation can be resolved with hopefully minimal conflict. When employees feel they've had a clear process to resolve their issues, it can lead to an employee satisfaction. So as long as that employee feels that they had a process and a means to resolve their frustrations or feelings of being discriminated against, sometimes the mere fact that there's a process gives the employee some satisfaction. Slide number 7 takes us right into the next part of the presentation, which is around how will we deal with the union representatives. So when dealing with the union grievance, I would speak only to the facts. When dealing with the union, you must focus on contract language and company policy in the rebuttal. By using that contract language and facts, you refrain from a non-union bias being perceived. You can't go off feelings or emotions or thoughts. It needs to be a completely factually based presentation of the facts of what have happened. The business should remember to be cordial and respectful in dealings with the union. Cultivating that solid relationship with the union can help the business resolve other issues they may face in the future. While the union is attempting to override our current business policy, it needs to be reminded to us that it's in interest of both of our parties to remain that amicable partnership. Even though the union is trying to override a decision the management team has made at the company, we still have to work together going forward. So it's in our best interest to stay respectful and not get into any kind of mudslinging or dogfighting, or throwing the union under the bus or attacking the employee in the hearing in the grievance process. Next question. Did John actually violate the policy? Well, yes. John called in the day after the holiday. He failed to follow the correct policy for being compensated for holiday pay. Employees should only be eligible if they complied with the organization's policy around sickness and injury during our holiday period. The next question is John sick or ill? Well, John called in and simply stated that he was taking a personal leave day. John did not offer any details around the request for his personal leave. The policy states that if he were either of those categories, he could have possibly received compensation under his manager's discretion. On slide 9, we pick up with our next set of questions. Did John request time off in advance of the holiday? Well, no, John did not request time off in advance of the holiday. He called the evening of the holiday to notify the company that he would not be in the preceding day. Well, did John speak with his supervisor about the need for a personal day? Nope, John did not speak with his supervisor. He simply left a message with his request for day off. He didn't speak with anyone in the management team. The current company policy is that if you request a personal leave day off that's guaranteed to you, it is automatically paid out to you. So John didn't give the company a chance to consider what his personal situation was. He simply told us he did not need a day. He was not coming in. He was requesting a day's leave. So should John ultimately be paid for the holiday or not? No. John failed to execute the correct procedure for requesting time off in concert with the holiday. He should have called and spoke with his supervisor and explained the situation, and possibly his manager would have waived the ruling. So if John would have followed the standard protocols for holiday pay, the ultimate way to be paid for the holiday, or even for his personal leave policy for calling in, John could have ultimately received his compensation if he would have just followed the standard protocols. Slide 10 leads us to our conclusion. John did not receive holiday pay because of his failure to follow the correct procedures for calling in. After the grievance process, John may be upset about the outcomes, and it could hurt his employment with us at Saga Food. We should make John feel that his voice was heard through the grievance process. The employee is important to our operation, and sometimes feeling heard is just as important as a particular outcome. One resolution we would offer John in this situation is that he possibly could use one of his additional personal leave days to be compensated for the hours lost. We have to stick by our policies to be fair and consistent in the world of HR and professionals. However, we can make an allowance to John to let him be able to receive pay. So that is my suggestions to John in this situation and how I deal with the union grievance. Thank you and have a good evening.